Right, hi everyone. So as a fairly last-minute addition, I wasn't sure where to go or how to pitch it, but the architect that I replaced was going to talk about open data, and specifically around planning. He's recently had a lot of issues himself around subjectivity and a political will, what he felt unfairly impacting on what he called a beautiful design. So when I was starting yesterday to think about what I was going to say, I came across a presentation from Monday around the National Planning Framework that you mentioned earlier, Ollie. And it was interesting to see that actually they've already, as government policy change, starting to think about a much more data-driven way of approaching planning. So it was great to see that even before they'd heard what I was going to say, they've changed policy. So I thought, oh great, my work here is done. But I wanted to talk then about more open data in construction more broadly. So over the years, I've found, as a QS, that one of the biggest issues I have is a lack of data, or more importantly, knowledge. Because we are quite a data-rich industry. We're always creating new numbers, new ideas, new products, but we're quite knowledge-poor because we don't really know and don't approach the data very well. We don't add the contextual know-how at all times, and we don't share it very well. So frustratingly, we're always starting from scratch. We're never building on the good work that we do. So why the need for change? Why the need to move from being data-rich to knowledge-rich? It's because so often, the subjectiveness of how we approach things. Are we really the same rules, implementing the same rules over and over and over? Are we considering how this very much, I just quite like that, impact on how we approach our things is causing delays, inconsistencies, inaccuracies, and stopping us really truly delivering the value for everyone that we want. And do we really know and understand what the value for everyone is? You mentioned the community-led. Do we know what the whole community really wants? Without that data initially, and then the contextual knowledge on top of it, to understand what the community want, we won't emphasize and maximize the value that that community will get from what we want. What do they want as a community? Is it all about affordability? Is it about well-being? Is it family-led? What is it that's driving the community so that we as an industry can appropriately answer that question? So it is, the whole point of being a very much more data-led and data-driven industry is that we can be very objective rather than subjective with our planning decisions, with our investment decisions. And when you start a project, whether you're looking at it from a bidding point of view, what is it worth bidding for, or are you bidding for it because you think it'll be nice, it'll look nice, and it'll be worth doing? What are you really going for? Is it the right thing to go for? Is mixed development right? Should it be resi? What is objectively, what is the data telling us is the way to maximize value? Good old Winston said it a very long time ago, never let a good crisis go to waste. But it's a phrase that keeps coming up in our industry. Andrew Wolstenholme said it in 2009, and Farmer was a little bit more pushy. He said modernize or die. But continuously, as an industry, we've let crisis go to waste. We've continuously looked at ourselves, said we're crap, and gone, never mind. But with Carillion, Lagan recently, and so many others falling, it's about time that we really start making a change. We are slowly but surely adopting more technology, really looking at what we're doing, considering what we're doing, but are we doing enough? Are we doing it quick enough? And are we really doing it in a joined up manner that is thinking about what is the right way to go about it? And are we doing it systematically rather than sort of a more specific project? Are we looking at the big picture, or are we just doing lots of really good things? And there is some great stuff that a lot of the big organizations are doing. The likes of Kia have got some amazing examples of how they've really driven BIM into lots of their projects. And then they've got some other projects that, is still 2D, don't look at anything like that, don't consider the long-term impact of socially what they're doing. Why? Why can't we be joined up as an industry? And even when it comes to what London might look like in the future, it's quite interesting. I thought, well, this is interesting. Let's just Google what people think London might look like. And this sort of sums up why people can't, is this data-driven? Is it considering what the community wants? Is it, maybe some people do want lots of shards. I know plenty of people who like the shard, but is 20 shards in London really what people want? Who knows? That middle one for the eagle-eyed in you is is from the latest Star Trek film. So, they've got some interesting ideas, but is that the right way to go about it? But the whole point, whichever one of these is the one that you want, are we doing enough to really understand what the current generation, our generation, and even the next generations, what do they want from our cities, from our landscapes? How are we going about collating the data to sorry, there's water there. How are we going about collating the data, understanding the data, and turning that into something that we as an industry, we as a community, we as a city and a country can really drive forward and implement the right social environment and infrastructure to allow us to thrive in the future. Thank you.